Welcome everyone to Grid. Before we get started, I want to say a special thank you to Codemasters for giving me the ability to try out the game a little bit early. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some gameplay in one of the faster car and track combinations in the game. We're going to be in the prototypes at Brands Hatch. But before we get to that, I want to very quickly take you through some of the options so you'll have an idea of what I am using in the game. Under controls, I'll be using a Logitech G920. Now, it's not currently hooked up to the PC, and that's why you're seeing this icon there, but I'm using a Logitech G920 wheel and pedal set. Under gameplay, the default field of view in the game is at 75, and that's the field of view I was using when I recorded this particular gameplay. However, I actually prefer to run it much lower, around 55. Feels a little bit better for me. We will be using the cockpit camera for today's video, but in future videos, I'll be using the replay system and using some of the different camera options available in the game. Moving over to difficulty, I'm using a custom difficulty. Damage is not something I'm terribly interested in since this is Grid. It's not a pure simulator. So I expect to have contact with other cars on the track and basically chaos that will ensue. That's what I'm looking for, so we're not terribly interested in a lot of damage. AI difficulty is on very hard, which is the maximum difficulty. Unfortunately, for this car and track combination, the AI weren't very good, so they weren't able to give us the racing that I would prefer. But we'll see as we go on into future videos how the different car and track combinations affect the AI. No flashbacks. In the game, if you're not familiar with how the flashbacks work, if you make a mistake on track or if there's simply an area of the track that you want to try to do better in, you can press a button, rewind time, and it gives you an opportunity to go through that section of the track once again and clear up any errors or mistakes you might have made. For the transmission, I'm using manual sequential, but I am using a clutch override. I'm using sequential simply because the paddle shifters are what's on the Logitech G920, so that works the best for me. But of course, you've also got the option for an automatic transmission if you prefer. As I mentioned earlier, camera position for me is interior. I'm using the standard cockpit camera since that's a personal preference of mine, but there are certainly cameras available that will take you outside in more of a third-person view. I am using the racing line on corners only, simply because I don't know any of the tracks in this game, so it helps me to at least know what kind of a corner is coming up while I'm learning these. All of the driving aids are turned completely off, zeros across the board for ABS, traction control, and stability control. That'll do it for the options. Now let's head to the track.
And I've just been told the race is seconds away from lights out.
Okay, settling for a long race now. Lap, you're leading the race. up. You're leading this race. You're through the halfway point.